Welcome. Thank you all for attending. I am Lynne Wheeler. I'm the membership chair for Wild Ones Chesapeake Bay and membership chair for the Southern Maryland Audubon Society. I want to make a special thank you to the Friends of Mount Aventine, which helped to maintain the house here, this antebellum house. Old homes are expensive to maintain, and we're grateful for all they do and help us enjoy this beautiful venue. So Wild Ones Chesapeake Bay and Southern Maryland Audubon Society are wildly appreciative that you care to attend and learn more about our environment and hope you support our efforts. Wild Ones Chesapeake Bay is a new nonprofit, a local chapter of National Wild Ones. We promote environmentally friendly landscaping that supports to preserve and support biodiversity by incorporating native plants into your landscape. This focus on the need for native plants has also been a mission of Audubon. Creating bird-friendly communities by using native plants in your landscape was launched in 2015. It's wonderful to join together and spread the need. Again, like I said earlier, this year's theme for World Migratory Bird Day is insects, so we love this. So watch out, we will be bugging you with information about the importance of supporting our insect population, which has been declining, as well as birds. So today, we're going to talk and then walk some about the landscape around us here at Mount Aventine, Chapman State Forest. I hope you enjoy it. It gets a bit technical regarding ecology and ecoregions and soils, but I personally was fascinated when I learned about this about 10, 15 years ago and all the research that was done about this type of ecology here at Chapman Forest, and I just had to share. So I hope you'll find it as interesting as I did. So we could go to the first slide. Bit of history. For several thousand years before the arrival of the Europeans, Native Americans inhabited the area that is now Chapman State Park. In 1608, Captain John Smith passed here on his exploration of the Potomac River. During his riparian voyage, various tribal settlements were identified, and maps of the area dated 1673 still showed Native American longhouses where Chapman State Park is now. However, by 1750, with plantations becoming increasingly common along the Potomac River, Nathaniel Chapman acquired this land, then known as Grimes Ditch. Nathaniel Chapman was a prominent colonial businessman. From 1914, when the family sold its estate, until the 1990s, there were various owners of the property, including Countess Margaret Bessignier, I pronounce it that, who owned the property from 54 to 84. The Countess was the late wife of the Hungarian ambassador to the United States and an avid equestrian. She used the Chapman property as a stud farm for Hungarian thoroughbred horses. Chapman State Park still includes the barns, stables, and riding arena installed by the Countess. The state of Maryland saved this location from development and purchased the property in 1998 using funds from Maryland's program Open Space. And we are so grateful that that occurred. Next slide. Welcome to the wildlands. We're fortunate that the state of Maryland preserved not only this land, but also nearby acreage on the other side of Route 210, Indian Head Highway, Piscataway Highway, whatever, and the Mattawoman Natural Environment Area, which is about 1,300 acres, north of Route 224 of the south side of the Mattawoman Creek. Most of this land has been designated by DNR as wildlands. They represent much of the richness and diversity of Maryland's natural heritage. Wildlands means limited areas of land or water which have retained their wilderness character, although not necessarily completely natural or undisturbed, have rare or vanishing species of plant or animal life, similar features of interest worthy of preservation for use of present and future residents of the state, and it may include unique ecological, geological, scenic, and contemplative recreational areas on state lands. So today we'll focus on the unique ecology of the forest around the historic home Mount Aventine. What makes Chapman Forest unique? As they say, location, location, location. We'll therefore talk about ecoregions, and it explains why we have a unique natural community forest type. Ecoregions are defined as areas of relative homogeneity in ecological systems and their components. Using geological features of Maryland's landscape, the state can be divided into 6 physiographic regions. Garrett County and Allegheny County are in the Appalachian Plateau. The eastern part of Allegheny County and Washington County are part of the Ridge and Valley province, where rivers have deep carved valleys through the rock layers. The areas of Frederick County between Catoctin Mountain and South Mountain lies with the Blue Ridge province, characterized by ridges of quartzite rock. The fall line between the Piedmont and the coastal plain runs through the eastern borders of Montgomery and Howard County and follows roughly along 95. Next slide. Here you'll see a lot of all these ecoregions in the whole ecoregion 3. It gets more multi-state. The main thing I wanted to point out is that you have the ecoregion 45, 64, and 65, and that I color-coded as to what you'll see. You'll see how we're 65, the Southeast Plains, but then we sub down. There's 2 Southeast Plains. You've got the Chesapeake rolling coastal plain, which is what we are, versus the other coastal plain below us. So in the next slide, we'll show you more, us here at the Chesapeake rolling coastal plain. So, and I always try to point this out even with native plant enthusiasts. If you're really, really looking for true native plants, you should be sticking with plants that are native to your ecoregion. And these are the ones. Sometimes we'll get native plants from Pennsylvania or Western Maryland, and that's not really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to augment our biodiversity of what truly is a native species for our region, because everything has evolved together, with the insects and the birds. And so anyway, the idea. So ecoregion 65N would be the next slide, Marlene. It's a hilly upland and narrow stream divides that has incised streams, well-drained loamy soil. It's hillier, more dissected, and better drained than a mid-Atlantic coastal plain. And its underlying sedimentary rocks are distinct from the older metamorphic rocks of the Piedmont. You can kind of, get the gist, because many of us have walked in the woods. We've been into all these narrow stream divides, and so it all kind of brings back memories. Soils are naturally low in nutrients and require liming and fertilizing to be productive for agricultural crops. These ultisols, if I pronounce that correct, which we know acid clay soil we have an awful lot of here, and when it's also in a humid area, which we do qualify, that's where that term comes in. They support a potential natural vegetation of mostly oak, hickory, pine forests. Dominants are the hickory, the longleaf pine, shortleaf pine, loblolly pine, white oak, and post oak. The fall line acts as the western border and separates our ecoregion 65N from the higher and lithologically distinct regions of the Piedmont. Ecoregion 65N's southern border with the rolling coastal plain is the Potomac River. The river divides the mesic soils of the north from thermic soils of the more forested south. When variety of ecoregions rub elbows so closely, neat things happen. So, I am regionally unique, and Mother Nature tells me so. The older age forest section of Chapman State Park is fascinating and regionally unique meeting grounds for plants, with a primary range of the inner Piedmont and mountains and those of the coastal plain. This section extends from the lower river terrace and extensive water willow shrublands along the Potomac River to the marl cliffs and ravines near Glymont area, which is just south from us here, before Indian Head. You just go right down the hill. So you could see on the map there where we are at the house, and all this area in the middle is what we're talking about in general. So I am regionally unique. We can go to the next slide. Most of the ravines and rolling valleys throughout the forested tract between Mount Aventine and Glymont comprise a globally rare natural community called the Shell Marl Ravine Forest. This was coined by Harvard botanist M.L. Fernald in the 1930s after discovering similar forest communities in the Virginia Tidewater region to the south. Shell Marl Ravine Forest is currently classified in the United States National Vegetation Classification as a coastal variant of the northern coastal plain, the Piedmont Basic Mesic Hardwood Forest. Coastal variant of this ecological community is globally rare because of its restricted global range. Okay, I found that fascinating. I don't know why, but to have this in our own backyard, I just like, wow, this is really interesting stuff. But maybe I need a life. This exactly. I know. This community type occurs only on the coastal plain where river bluffs and deep ravines over millennia have exposed underlying calcareous and gluconitic marine sands and marl beds deposited during the Pliocene, Eocene, Miocene. Do we like these pronunciations? Epochs when the area was a shallow sea at the western edge of the Atlantic Ocean. The Bright Seat and Acacia formations are the prominent underlying strata in this area of Chapman Forest. So the combination of the deep ravines, calcareous soils, close proximity to the Potomac River has produced a remarkable flora predominantly composed of species typical of the inner Piedmont, the other ecoregion over the way, and carbonate areas of the Appalachians that are otherwise rare to absent on the coastal plain, especially in association. Chapman Forest is considered to be Maryland's largest and finest example of this natural community type. Who would know? I didn't know. All right, diversity of species. The forest has a diversity of species and natural communities, including Maryland State champion pagoda oak, chinkapin oak, and we'll also see old age tulip trees, white ash, beech, American basswood, that's how to pronounce it, basswood, winter grape, pignut hickory, sweet pignut hickory, sassafras, I always like finding sassafras, sweet gum, sycamore, and other trees such as dwarf hackberry, American hop hornbeam, slippery elm, red mulberry, Shumard oak, Dreams oak, pawpaw, and others. Rare fauna has also been documented from the shell marl ravine forest sections at Chapman State Park, including a diversity of land snails. And I really, really want to emphasize this next bit. In 2009, Roderick Simmons surveyed the forest, and prior to that, there was an awful lot of work done here when we were, the attempt was made to save the forest in the late 1990s. The Maryland Native Plant Society was very involved. Virginia Native Plant Society was involved. Rod Simmons was involved. And then, luckily, when the land got saved, and Rod Simmons did an awful lot of the more advanced evaluation here. He's a plant ecologist who's worked extensively in the fields of natural resource management and ecological restoration for nearly 30 years. He's a member of the Virginia Botanical Associates and works closely with Virginia and the Maryland Natural Heritage Program. He's a member and past president of the Botanical Society of Washington, a past president of the Maryland Native Plant Society, and serves on the board of the Virginia Native Plant Society, and is a regular field trip leader for all of these organizations. Rod is the natural resource manager and plant ecologist for the city of Alexandria, Virginia. And I guess he still is. This data might be a little bit dated. But all of this fascinating information comes from the work that he did at the Maryland and the plant societies. And I just had to emphasize, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have all this good documented facts. So it comes from him. Old age forests, not only am I unique, I am old. The shell marl ravine forest sections of Chapman State Park has been documented as an old age forest community by extensive work over the years by the Maryland Native Plant Society and other researchers. Numerable indicators of old age status are present, including counts of radial growth rings on typical canopy species throughout the forest, which were selectively logged for veneer in the late 1980s, dating between 180 to 220 years old. A number of state champion trees, including a national champion, soil structure, and others. I think we lost one of the champion trees, and I couldn't remember. I think it might have been don't remember which of the three, but we are down to two. Anyway, the section on the west side of the carriage road contains the rarest and most sensitive natural communities and associated species for the entire 2,200 acre Chapman site, with the ridge trail traversing the most sensitive areas. And the ridge trail is, well, you'll see the yellow, and where we were going to walk today to get to a fabulous community of bluebells, it's actually almost kind of in the middle between the red and the yellow trails, the marsh trail and the ridge trail. But all right, so have we had enough of plant ecology? Do we thoroughly enjoy all those factoids and soil science? So now let's have some fun, and we're going to spring into plants and see what we begin with, like in the even the winter time. So today, well, we were going to walk near the ridge trail and look for ephemeral plants. An ephemeral plant is one marked by a short life cycle. The word ephemeral means transitory or quickly fading. In regard to plants, it refers to distinct growth strategies, and they can only come out before our trees get their leaf canopy, which then would provide too much shade in order for them to pop. So they take advantage of that little opening window. Spring ephemerals have two distinct growth phases. Epigeous, do we want to pronounce it that way? Epigeous? Epigeous sounds good. Okay. And hypogeous, below ground. The hypogeous phase of growth takes place throughout fall and winter. Once spring arrives and soils begin to warm, the plants enter the epigeous phase of growth, where leaves and flowers are produced and reproduction occurs. This is an incredibly short period of time, and spring ephemerals are well suited to the task. So let's have some fun and learn about some of our ephemerals. January. Here we go. It may be cold outside, but if you take a walk in marshy, deciduous woods, you can see me, even if there's still snow and ice. I can bloom. I am one of the first native plants to bloom. My dark-colored flower buds poke out of the mud. I know Carrie's going to know this, but I am a low-growing plant, a member of the arum family, Araceae. In eastern North America, I'm native from Nova Scotia and southern Quebec. In Canada, west to Minnesota, south to North Carolina, and Tennessee. I was used medicinally by Native Americans, and in the 19th century was listed in the U.S. Pharmacopoeia as the drug draconium for the treatment of respiratory diseases, nervous disorders, rheumatism, and dropsy. How do I manage to bloom in the cold? I am one of the few plants that exhibit thermogenesis, the ability to generate heat by cyanide-resistant cellular respiration. I mean, ain't that a cool plant? My spadix can generate temperatures on average 20 degrees warmer inside my spathe than the surrounding air temperature. My twisted hood-like spathe, I guess that's pronounced correct too, has a narrow opening on one side, is 4 to 6 inches tall, is pointed at the apex. I may be solid, deep, wine red, or maroon, or mottled or streaked with yellow or green. My spathe never opens completely, forming a protective enclosure around the ovoid spadix that can be pale yellow to dark purple in color. My name describes the smell of my stinky smelling flower, but I don't care. I attract my pollinators with it, carrion, feeding flies, and gnats. And because I am warm, sometimes beetles, bees, and other insects visit me. After I am pollinated, my head swells, and I develop a compound fruit with a blocky surface. Does anyone know the answer? There we go. We got ding, 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 ding. Throw that girl a candy bar. Okay, there you go. Skunk cabbage. And these are actually, you know, most of these were taken by me in my yard, or the wetlands right into the woodland. So I just took that in March even. So you'll see what they look like now versus January was the far left. Late January, February was probably the middle. So, yeah, cool. I like skunk cabbage. I don't know. But, all right, February. This is just a little cutesy stuff. Like robin's song or bluebird's wing, or throats that make the marshes ring. Her beaming face and winsome grace are greetings from the heart of spring. I just liked it. Did you know snowdrops? Galanthus rivalis is non-native. It is an early blooming perennial native to Europe and Western Asia, but has escaped cultivation and become established in many regions of our state. So 1 month has passed, another has begun, and buds of rarest green began to peer. The virgin snowdrops, like a lampant fire, pierces the cold earth with its green streaked spire. All right, February through May. I hope you enjoyed my little poetry section. I am a spring ephemeral, often hidden in leaf litter and can be easily overlooked. Once I achieve my height of 6 inches, you may finally notice me. I am a purplish green plant with white or purplish flowers. Does that say a third or an eighth? I can't read my thing.
Half and half.
Half? Okay, something inch long, usually crowded in groups of 3 at the top of the stem and the axils of the upper leaves. I occur in the coastal plain and grow in nutrient-rich, moist to dry forests, often in base-rich soils. The common name refers to the coin-like shape of my leaves. I have been found in most counties of Maryland. There are 156 records in the Maryland Biodiversity Project, a website I like to hang out in. Again, I need a life. Penny, for your thoughts, who am I? And the answer, pennyworth. You know, I'm wondering, Marlene, when we walked days ago, if that was leftover pennyworth stems that we saw. And the more and more I was looking at that stem structure, it made me wonder. I don't know, it's a thought. So it's always a question as to what we find when we're walking in the woods. So, and again, I try to include what we have documented throughout the state of Maryland in the Maryland Biodiversity Project. If you're ever wondering what has been found, you know, for flora or fauna, it's a great website to go to and to find out what exists in your region of what plant species, animal species. So anyway, pennyworth. Next slide, February, April. We continue to take a walk in the woods. I was widely used by Native Americans and colonists to treat many ailments, but served most commonly as a leaf tea for liver disorders. My common name refers to my leaves being 3-lobed, as in the liver, and becoming dark in color with age. Probably like our livers. Anyway, treating organ problems with the plants that most suggest them is known as the doctrine of signatures, an old superstition around the world in pre-modern cultures. I am one of the earliest spring flowers, am stemless, and I have large basal leaves with 3 rounded lobes. My hairy flower stalk emerges from the tattered clump of leathery burgundy brown tinted leaves from the previous year. New leaves appear only after my flower blooms. My flower is light blue to lavender or white. I'm easy to find in the forest litter and are 1 inch across on 8-inch tall stalks. My flower has numerous stamens and are without true petals. And petal-like flower has 5 to 9 sepals around 3 bracts. I grow in dry to moist upland woods from Quebec to Minnesota and Manitoba south to Georgia, Tennessee, and Missouri. The Maryland Biodiversity Project has 301 records listed for me, but none in Charles or St. Mary's County. We need to get looking. Any idea? It's a hard one, kind of.
Is this one meadow rue?
No.
No? Okay.
I like that guess, though. And the answer, round lobe hepatica. It is an anemone. So you'll see how we're missing in the map. You know, be something to go for a hunt and see if we can help document that. You know, I would assume since we've got it in PG County and Anne Arundel County, it just hasn't been caught, you know, to document it in the project. All right, February, April. I am a colony-forming scapos. A scape is a bare flowering stem arising from a cluster of leaves at the base of the plant, perennial on most bottomland or slope forests. Around the base of my stalk, you will see fleshy green leaves with purple mottling. I only grow 4 to 6 inches tall on top of my drooping solitary stem. My 1-inch bright yellow flowers have 3 petals and 3 petal-like sepals. Oh, well, I'm going to have to like do Google sound, to all curved backwards. My common name refers to my brown and purple spotted leaves. Iroquois women ate the leaves to prevent conception, and the plant has antibacterial properties, but some toxicity. One-leaved, non-flowering plants are common. Who am I? Yes, she, ding, 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 she gets 2 candy bars. Yellow trout lily. It's really cool to find that in the forest. We may have been seeing a little bit of that the other day too. It's kind of hard when they first just start to come up and haven't done their full thing.
In my yard, but they'll be like.
Yes, exactly.
It's hard to find them, they're so small.
Yes, I agree. All right, we're still like in March, April. I appear for a very short time. Gee, I think I'm on ephemeral. At first, just a little brown tip emerging from the soil with a leaf inside. My satiny white flower appears above the still folded leaf. After my petals drop, my broad orbicular leaf with 5 to 7 wavy lobes slowly open. Once expanded, my leaf shades my developing fruit capsule. I am found on moist but well-drained woodland soil. My name comes from the red latex extracted from my rhizome. The genus name is derived from sanguinarius, which means bleeding. My root latex can destroy tissues and has been used to treat conditions such as ringworm, warts, and fungal growth. Researchers also are investigating my value in cancer treatment. My extract is used in toothpaste and mouthwash to fight plaque and gingivitis. American Indians use my latex as war paint and to dye fabrics. Any idea on this one? Isn't this fascinating?
I'm gonna guess again.
Go ahead, guess.
Blood root.
Yay! And another candy bar. Yes, very good. It's always fun to find bloodwort in the woods.
Is that what we call mayhem?
Different, and I'm glad you asked that because I decided at the last minute to put mayapple in here so you could see the difference.
We see them all the time.
Yeah, we've got a ton of mayapple. As you'll note, I put a little note there. Did you notice me driving in?
Yes.
There's a bunch of mayapple at the second turn. So, but yeah. When I was going over this whole slide presentation and I came to this section, I was like, wow, I didn't put mayapple in here. Well, I am now. And I kind of liked it being with, the bloodroot. So that kind of one makes you think of the other a lot of times. All right, March through April. We're moving right along. I am 14 to 20 inches tall with terminal clusters of 5 to 20. 1 inch long, bell-shaped, light blue flowers. I am freely naturalized from seed. The state designation is part of my common name, like many common names, is a little misleading, as this species is common to many other eastern states. I am protected in some states because I am exploited to over-collecting. I am a native to eastern Canada and the central and eastern United States. Naturally, I can be found in nutrient-rich, moist soils of floodplain forests and thickets. My closed blooms look like deflated pink balloons. I go dormant in midsummer. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, ding, ding. Do well, you said it. Yay, yay, bluebell. All right, Clemmer. And this actually is a picture taken from a friend of mine, Julie Simpson, and she took it from the bluebell community that is here in the forest. So
Has
you
that
could
trail gotten any cleared up?
no. No. Well, and we're going to talk about that at the very end. You know, since we have too much wind, we still have too much wind to go on the wooded trail today. But some of the special designation we kind of give that trail and why it isn't maintained. So you'll see we've got them in every quad except for St. Mary's County. Interesting. All right, March through April. I'm 3 to 10 inches tall with arching stalks and white pants-shaped flowers. I have highly dissected fern-like long-stalked leaves. My nodding white flowers have 2 divergent inflated spurs at the base projecting upwards and 2 small yellow spreading lips at the tube opening. I'm found in rich, moist forests, common in the eastern United States. My seeds are distributed by ants, which are attracted to fleshy or oily seed appendages called elaiosomes. And I put a definition of elaiosomes because we have to have another new word for the day. So, eating the leaves and roots produce poisoning similar to that of bleeding heart, a common garden plant. The most common symptom of poisoning by me and a similar looking plant called squirrel corn is a drunken, staggering gait if cattle or deer graze on me due to my narcotic and toxic substance, which gives me the common name staggerweed or little blue staggers. We will see lots of them today, even just right inside the edge of the forest. Any ideas?
Dutchman's bridges?
Yay, yay, clever! We are stocking up on candy bars. And again, you see this is another plant that's not in St. Mary's County. And I took this picture here last week. And we are loaded with Dutchman breeches. Kind of neat. I like them. Funny little plant. Almost done. I am a spring ephemeral, often hidden in leaf litter and can be easily overlooked. I am common and widespread, primarily woodland. Sometimes I show up as early as February, but April is my prime time. I am a true spring ephemeral. All of my above ground parts senesce and disappear by late spring, when the leaf canopy begins to fill and shade the forest floor. Energy that I produce by photosynthesis in the spring is stored in small underground corms. This energy powers the next spring's burst of above-ground growth. My underground corm is similar to a small potato with a sweet chest-like flavor. Native Americans and colonists use me for food. My star-like flowers are in loose clusters, white to light pink. My color depends on my genetics and controlled by a couple of different compounds. My crimson coloring comes from a compound called cyanidin, and white colors come from 2 flavanols, quercetin and camphorol. I'm a protandrous plant. My male reproductive organs mature before my female ones, thereby ensuring that self-fertilization does not occur. I was named after a renowned Virginia botanist, and the local chapter of the Virginia Native Plant Society bears my name. And Carrie Staples, you know this one, because you turned me on to a unique coloration.
Oh, okay, spring beauty.
Spring Beauty, that's it! And this is a picture I took that day with you and John when we found this yellow variety. So, all right, next slide. And then just to mention, you know, most of our orchids are later more in the summertime, but it's so exciting when you do run into them. Like May, you might get the pink lady slipper, and so its seed depends on a fungus to break open the seed. You know, showy orchis, you know, is a real fun one to run into also. And again, not in St. Mary's County. Interesting kind of little thing that goes on there. And as the final slide, I'm just kind of sharing some things from my yard mainly. There's that toadshade trillium that I have, the one. Jacob's ladder. And then I just like creeping phlox, and of course Jack in the Pulpit, where you can see now, they're just starting to pop up. They're always fun. And that is columbine from my yard. I had to have a big tree pulled out of this shade garden, so I don't know if I've lost all my columbine. I might have to be planting some of them. And of course the bluebells, and then tons of this cutleaf toothwort, which we will see today too. So I hope you enjoyed that. I know it got a little, you know, little side. Okay, great, excellent, excellent. Thank you very much.